Your next assignment involves creating a query letter. And for the 4 feature stories you're going to be doing this semester, you're going to have to create a query letter for all of those. This comes in very, very handy if you're doing freelance work as a feature writer. So you might be having a full-time job doing public relations or doing some other kind of writing or communication job, but you want to freelance on the side. So your job in a query letter is to get the attention of an editor and make him or her choose you for the actual position of writing that particular story. The query letter has a couple of components and things that you need to think about. The first one is it's one page. You can send a one-page letter or an email. Right? And again, you've got to think about this and craft this in a very sort of deliberate way. It pitches an idea to an editor. So you've got to have a lot of research done before you do this. It's got to be something that you've thought about, and you've actually probably done some interviews and put some of the story, part of the story together. It provides some tangible proof of your skills as a reporter, as a writer, as someone who can be trusted. And you want the editor to say, I like this writer, and I think he or she can pull this off. Right? So think about those components as you put together your query letter. Right? Inside the query letter should be very brief, again, mentioned one page, or very short in an email. It has to have a lead. And oftentimes in a query letter, you might use the actual lead for the story or the article that you're writing. Okay? So you want to hook an editor or hook someone in an organization who's going to make a decision about whether to hire you for this particular assignment. Then the summary and timeliness. You need to connect this to something that's going on currently or something that's happening, some kind of report or study or some activity that's happening that makes it timely. Okay, so that's a very key component. And you've also got to match the article to the audience that's going to be reading the publication, if it's online or if it's in print. Right? What kind of stories did they write about in the past? How can you sort of create a story that will meet the needs of their readers? Right? Nuts and bolts. How many words? So if you do some research, you find out that the average story is 1,500 words or 2,000 words in this publication, or they're shorter. What kind of sources are you going to have? Who are you going to contact? Do you want to provide photos? Do they need you to provide photos, or do they take their own photos? And when is the deadline for this? Right? And if you contact the person and talk about these things, you got to make sure that you put all these things together. Right? If you're going to have a deadline, you better meet the deadline. If there's a certain number of words, you better meet the number of words. If they're going to require photos, you better get the photos taken. Right? So once you sort of get an agreement on a query letter that you're going to write the story, you better follow through, or else your reputation will be sort of mud after that if you don't. Right? And the credentials. For beginning writers, this is really the hardest part, but after you've done this for a while, you've got some credentials. You've written for this publication, you've written for this website, those kind of things. Right now, you probably just have classwork and things that you've done, so you may want to mention that. If you've written for the Madonna Herald, that may be something you could mention. What connections do you have to the topic? Why would you be a good person to write about this? So if you're minoring in psychology and this is a psychological topic, that might be something you might want to mention in the credentials area. Basically, you're trying to convince the editor or something that you are the best person to write this article. It's your idea, and you're the best person. Right? So for the query letters, you're going to have to write 4 of those, 1 for each of the feature assignments that you have for this class. You're going to turn those in. They're going to be worth 2.5 points each. So practice your skills, trying to convince me that this is a good idea. So what I want you to do for the query letter is to sort of pitch an idea to me, maybe sort of pick a publication or a website that you're going to write for, and then basically follow the steps that we just talked about. So good luck with this and have fun.